Welcome back to coverage of the 2026 Jännerrallye, the 39th edition of this iconic event here in Upper Austria. We're about to head into the 14th stage of the 15th stage of the rally. It's going past so quickly. Arena Königsweisen 2, the second pass of this stage, one of the higher stages up on this rally, over 800 metres above sea level, and it's a looped stage, 2 laps of around 2.5 kilometres, each making a total of 4.9 kilometres. The stage earlier on, it was Hermann Neubauer who was quickest through. Can he do so again this time? Well, he would hope so, because that would get him back up onto the podium. He's only 0.2 of a second off the podium. Heading into the stage, we have Simon Wagner leading the way by 1 minute and 15 seconds over Michael Lengauer. Osberg, as we mentioned, back up onto the podium, just 0.2 of a second ahead of Neubauer, and then Robert Jurgensen rounding out the top 5, with Jaroslav Kultun having a great event in 6th position. My name is Peter McRae, delighted to be part of the team this year for the Jännerrallye live stream. We have Kuru with us for the very first time broadcasting on Twitch, and Hollie McRae, who has been very busy sprinting around the service park with the magnifying glass out and a notepad in hand. Hollie, what can you tell us from the very short service break that we've just had?
Very short indeed. So short, in fact, that by the time that I got out there, all of our priority drivers had headed back out to the stages. Luckily, however, the service crews were very helpful and answered my many questions to them. Obviously, the questions I was asking was about the tyres that the drivers were using in the previous stage. They will be returning back to that stage after this one, in 2 stages' time, for stage 17. Back to the Freistadt Super Special. And the question was all about tyres. We were trying our best from commentary, trying to identify them. We were wondering if some people were on gravel tyres, some people on regular tarmac tyres. So let me run through my list. Rally leader Wagner. We looked at them thinking that perhaps he was on a tarmac tyre. He looked to be struggling quite a bit, but I can indeed now confirm he was using the Michelin winter tyre. So that is the 18-inch sort of Monty spec tyre that we're used to seeing from Michelin, and it can be purchased with or without studs. So he was clearly using the non-studded version, which is NA01, and he will be heading out on the same tyres again this afternoon. Hopefully he's got a bit more of experience with them now and is feeling a bit more comfortable. The rest of the drivers are where things get a bit interesting. From Wagner's tent, I headed straight over to BRR to speak with Osberg's engineers. Obviously, they're the people that won that super special stage. And Osberg was in fact using street tyres. He was using a bog standard street winter tyre, and this is the case for a lot of the drivers as well, because it falls out with the tyre allocation for the rally. We did think that there must be something at play because they didn't look quite as familiar. So over the course of the rally, the drivers are allowed to take 18 tyres, 12 maximum of one type, but the loophole is, if you use standard street tyres for this super special stage, that falls out with your allocation. So that is what Osberg has done. I believe he was out on a set of Goodyears, and so was Lengauer, so was Robert Jurgensen, so was the entirety of the ZM team's Ford Fiesta Rally 2s. It seems to be the done thing, and we will see if it plays into their favour. Obviously, at this stage in the rally, you would assume that it's not so necessary to get as much possible out of your tyre package because there are very few competitive kilometres remaining, but it seems to be the thing that's worked for them.
That's genius. So then they could, I know, because they're still limited to 12 khaki tyres, yes, so it would. Oh, that is very clever. Very clever indeed. And quite an advert for the Goodyear winter tyre, you'd have to say.
Absolutely. It seems to be the choice of the service park at this point. All of our top drivers that we saw, bar Wagner, seem to be going for this option. So I suppose it's tried and tested by the locals, and the international drivers that are coming here from the first time must be listening to the advice of the teams, and that is what they choose to go for.
That is fantastic insight, Holly. Well done finding that out from all the crews, because sometimes with tyres they can be very guarded and not give away the secret. But you must have a way of a convincing way with them.
I did ask as well
Fascinating stuff.
if they would be going out on the same tyres for the second pass. Perhaps some people might be changing their minds, but it seems like everyone's sticking with what they chose for that first pass, unless the service crews are trying to throw me off the scent a little, but they seem pretty convinced.
Oh, that's fascinating. That's fascinating. Yeah, I'm looking at my notes here. That would be the Michelin Pilot Alpine, the Monte Carlo
Correct.
style tyre, which is NAO1 if you want it with no studs, which I guess that's the one that he used, and then with studs is the NAO1 CL. So you can order it with or without studs. The Pirelli Soto Zero is the same. So you can go. You can go with whatever you like. You can have it with studs or not. Amazing. Oh, Romit. Oh, big moment here for Romit Jurgensen. But tell you what, Holly, the stage surface here looks completely different than the first pass. First pass, there was kind of a nice layer of almost fresh snow over it. And now it looks like it's really thawed out quite a bit. Maybe with the sunlight going on it. And of course, 80 cars or so going through 2 laps as well. It's not like a regular stage where they're going point to point. Of course, it's 2 laps of this stage. So the times, well, they're bound to be improved, you would imagine. And indeed they are. Jaroslav Koltun's just gone fastest through so far by 12 seconds quicker than his time this morning. 2.1 quicker than Philip Kreisel. So the road is getting quicker, but it can still catch you out, as Romit Jurgensen very nearly demonstrated there for us. Well, the team's coming into the time control now at the end of the stage. Jurgensen heading around towards the red boards. I think he'll be delighted to see that.
That is not the stage that you want to lose out on. As we've spoken about on the first pass, it's such a short stage, more of a outside natural spectator stage, some may say. And if there was to be an issue on this stage itself, there is a big drop down to the driver's left that you wouldn't be getting your car out of anytime soon. So yeah, this is a stage you really just want to keep it clean, because there's not a lot to gain here, but there is a lot to lose.
And if that did happen, Kuru, I guess you've got to find a spectator who's got a thermos flask full of mulled wine to keep you warm.
Oh, absolutely. I could tell you a good spot to here in Austria. We can get some nice mulled wine. Also, just saw someone in my chat saying somewhere it's clean, somewhere it's nice and icy, and in some places there is snow. Would be so nice to drive here.
Yeah, I bet it'd be a huge amount of fun, especially back on these narrow, tacky tyres with 228 little studs, little 2mm studs. Well, they protrude 2mm out of the tyre, but they go 15mm into the tyre themselves. So by regulation can only protrude 2mm, as Michael Lenger waits on the start line. Romit Jurgensen fastest through so far by a tenth of a second, 3:45.9. That's only about 5 seconds than his quickest this morning. So perhaps, Holly, as Kura mentioned, certain places it's clearing up, but other places it may be a little bit more messy and rutted, so it's not the entirety of the stage quicker than it was in the first pass.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. When we first saw this stage this morning, it looked as though it hadn't been touched since Recce. It looked as if the snow that had fallen on the Thursday had lay there quite peacefully until it was disturbed this morning, whereas now the stage has definitely evolved. I would also argue that this isn't a stage that we will see drivers make up a whole lot of time. There's only so quick that you can go on this circuit, and the stage itself, it's quite flat. There's not too much up and down. There's not any big cuts that drivers are able to take. It's pretty standard. It's getting around safely. So I can't see there being too many big times in comparison to what we saw on the first pass.
Mads Osberg, he's gone fastest through so far now by 3.9 seconds. And this morning, well, in the first pass, Osberg with a 3:54.6, 3:42 now. So Osberg finding a lot of time on the second pass. We've seen this several times from him of course, his very first attempt at the Jännerrallye. And it seems like now he's got the pace notes right. He knows the road a bit better, and is using that knowledge now to be able to exploit the speed. As Michael Lenger now onto the stage, it's he's now just hoping that something happens to Wagner ahead. That's all he can really hope for now. Keep it clean, keep the pace up, and hope that Wagner has similar misfortune. Well, he won't be hoping for misfortune, but that is really his only path to victory right now. There's not enough kilometres left to run it down on speed, particularly given how close the two of them have been on pace throughout the majority of the rally. Surface changes all the time. I mean, when you think of like a rally like Rally Sweden, a pure snow rally, Hollie, it's the drivers love that because they can commit every corner, and often we see huge average speed. But here, every single corner is different. Some got a bit of tarmac, some with a bit of snow, mix some ice in there. You've got to be so adaptive here.
Yeah, certainly. There's a lot more questions on an event like this in comparison to the likes of Sweden. I actually had a bit of a scoff recently when John referenced Rally Sweden as one of the more simple rallies in the WRC calendar. Referencing John Armstrong right now, my boyfriend, who will be taking on the WRC in the top category for the first time for this season. And he was sort of running through the different rallies on the calendar, rallies that he's done before, rallies that he'll be facing for the first time this year. And when he said that Sweden was one of the more simple ones, it really sort of made me sit back and question it, but it does make sense, I suppose. That rally, you're more guaranteed of what is underneath you. You have the large snowbanks there either side for a lot of the stages, and it becomes almost a bit more like a racetrack than anything else. Whereas you come to an event like this, there is a lot of question marks, a lot of choices to be made about setup, about tyres, and for the drivers that are here for the first time, it will be a huge learning experience.
We just got to find a way to get him into Jännerrallye next year. That's what we got to.
Absolutely.
Got to convince him to come and give it a go. Yeah, absolutely love it here. It's just my kind of rally. Surface change everywhere you go. As Linger now onto his second lap through. You can see there's certain corners, there are little ruts to follow to keep the wheels within those tracks. And judging the braking distances must be so tricky as well, knowing how much grip have you got? Is the tyre going to bite in or not? Now, critical for the podium fight, Hermann Neubauer has come through second quickest, but 2.7 slower than Osberg. So he now trails Osberg for that last spot on the podium by 2.9 seconds. So Osberg having a superb Sunday here in Upper Austria and holding a tighter grip now on that podium for now. He'll be hoping that the Super Special in Freistadt goes as well as it did earlier on. So through then comes Michael Lenger to the stop control. Fair a thought for our marshals who have got to keep wrapped up warm there all day. Seems that although it's nice and bright and sunny, it looks pretty chilly out there, Kuru.
Yeah, I think I checked the temperature earlier. Although the sun is out, we still have like -2 to -3 degrees outside. So you better find yourself a spot in the sun to not become an icicle yourself while spectating the event.
I have to laugh. I think it was one of the Liebenau stage, the first pass yesterday. Someone had commented on the YouTube stream about one of the marshals that was out in the darkness, in snow, wearing shorts. And if that's not a sign of the character of some of the folks here in Upper Austria, I don't know what is.
Oh, that's made me shiver just thinking about it. Oh, no. No, it's I definitely... I'm one that sometimes have to wear two pairs of trousers, the normal pair and waterproofs over the top to try and keep warm. Simon Wagner leading the way. Is this the year? 4 second places in a row. He's finished the rally on the road first, but the gearbox broke on his Mazda 323 several years ago on the way to the final time control. So he knows what Jännerrallye heartbreak feels like. He knows what it feels like to be close, but he's driven this rally absolutely perfectly, no matter what's been thrown at him, he's handled it well, and he's got a good lead behind him. He's just got to try and get it to the finish. But as we've seen, it's so easy to just press a tyre off the rim or catch something underneath, and all of a sudden you've got a puncture and you've lost a whole chunk of time. Wagner will be very, very aware of that indeed as he comes round towards the end of the stage now. He'll see the red boards. There they are. And it's stage complete for Simon Wagner. Lenger's time second quickest, 2.3 off the time of Osberg, who's picking up stage wins left, right, and centre so far today. He's had 3 so far in the rally. This may well be his 4th of the event, and enough to keep him up on the podium ahead of Michael Lenger. So Wagner completes then 4th quickest, 3 seconds off the ultimate pace, and only 7/10 behind Michael Lenger. You've got to think that is job done then for Simon Wagner there. Coming up next, we have the 16th stage of the rally, the first pass of the Leitner Gutau to Keffermark test, 7.1 kilometres. That is live at 20 past 1 local time in Central Europe. Be sure to join us then with me, Peter McKay, Hollie McRae, and Kuru. See you then.